Alrighty, folks. So we got Elijah Awoke here, former SDR manager, former W2 SDR killer, absolute savage, quota crusher, right? Transitioned into the contract life, fractional life, freelance consultant, whatever you want to call it. What we like to call it is just using our skills to make more money than we would working for someone else, right? And so Elijah, really just want to kind of dive into your background and journey, kind of where you were before going out on your own, and where you're at now, and what's changed, and hear a little bit about how the community's helped. So why don't you just introduce yourself and share a little bit about that?
Yeah, good to be here. Thanks for having me. And so basically high level on myself. I've been in sales now for I think coming up on like 5 years. Two of that has been in tech sales, more like B2B corporate. I actually first, I think Hunter, we met when I was at Brex because I knew the whole agency life, doing some fractional with the Titan guys and PRL guys. That's how initially I met you. And it was always on my radar. I remember, I think to the day you followed with me for a good year, you were convincing me like, hey, you should do this. You should do this. You got the skills.
You know, it was so funny. You were the first person that ever reached out to me.
Am I actually?
Yeah, because you told me that you saw my headline on LinkedIn because you were looking through like Justin Michael recommendations or testimonials or something like that.
Yes,
and I had given him a shout, and you saw that, and you were like, hey man, like I saw you posted like 30K a year to 30K a month as a fractional SDR. You're like, I want to do that. You're the first. I can literally show you on my calendar. You're the first person that ever booked a call with me.
That's crazy. I believe you. I believe you. Yeah. That's crazy though. Like I would have thought you were doing it for some reason before that. But yeah, so like that was, I mean, for the folks, like that's what caught my attention obviously, right? Like 30 to from a year to a month is crazy. And I remember you kind of were just staying persistent, of course in a good way, where it was always coming from a place of encouragement. It's like, hey, like you can, because every time I would talk to you, you're always I'm always usually updating you on what I'm doing, and I'm doing well. So yeah, when I was at Brex, I killed it as an SDR, and then I was trying to go into a manager role, and then another manager opportunity popped up at Docebo. Wrongfully, people will call it Docebo. It is Docebo. It's an Italian company. But I went there, managed that team. I had a team of 8 SDRs, and that's when I actually was thinking like, hey, I should just start like something on the side, right? Because I now have the manager experience on paper, right? So it gave me a lot more credibility. And I remember I started with you, I think late October of 24 or early November, somewhere around that timeline.
Yeah, it was like the end of 24.
Yeah, towards the end of 24. Obviously, I think I had a client before I even came in. It was a weird situation, but you obviously helped
me. We actually had a one-on-one call that you had paid for when I was moving down to Phoenix. We had that initial call, and then I was like, hey man, like you should really just join. Like, like come on, what are we doing here? It's been like a year. And you're like, all right, man, I'll do it. And then
exactly. That's the conversation. I was just like, because I remember the night it was you're 2 hours behind. Sorry, I'm going so in depth with this, but I remember it was
funny. Like it's good to reminisce.
Yeah, no, it really is, because I remember, yeah, I remember that night when I was trying to like pay, because I said, F it, I'm just gonna just do it. But yeah, like when that happened, I remember my thought process, for those wondering, like I've seen so many people beforehand already kind of doing well with this, who frankly didn't know that much more than me, and I actually had real life experience, right, of like being a rep and performing, getting executive level meetings, all that good stuff. And I was like, cool, like let me just do this on the side. I actually had a client that already reached out to me, and you helped me a lot structure that, because I was going to structure it the wrong way. So that was really good experience. And then from like November until I think April of 25, I was kind of like still doing it one foot in, one foot out. It was more consulting, right? Yeah. As you said, right? We're not married to just cold calling. We're married to just leveraging our skill sets to make money. Yeah. So around like April time, that's when I started like taking it more and more serious. And it was crazy, man, because from when I was doing the math, from April until I think now, no, sorry, from April until late August, when I was doing the math, I damn near, I got to double check, but it was something like what I made as an SDR in a year, I almost made in that timeline, right? Yeah. Because of the skill sets, right? Yeah. And of course, that comes with compound interest, right? Like people are getting more and more inbound from LinkedIn content and DMs.
Yeah, you've done a great job building your brand on LinkedIn as well.
Yeah, so like that helps a lot.
You should have done this as a LinkedIn Live.
Oh shoot, we should have. We can always do it, man. We could
redo it as a LinkedIn Live.
Yeah, no,
we actually might do.
But anyway, so back to this now. So in that timeline, like it was crazy when I was thinking about that, because I remember for so long, I was thinking, okay, I I want to play it safe. Like there was nothing really stopping me, because one of my biggest fears, and this is for anyone watching, that people think, oh, if I can go out on my own and I do this and like I fail, quote unquote, right? Failure is only in your mind kind of thing. I thought, well, how am I gonna get a job again? Like how am I gonna make income? I've had probably just 2 clients this week offer me. They always offer come in house, come in house. So
Yeah,
I know
all of it.
that boat is never leaving. That
Yeah.
will always be there.
You
Right.
actually end
So
up
I'm
with
like,
more you actually end up with more opportunities is what happens.
exactly. And you actually get to vet them, because now you get to see contractually or like on a consulting basis what it's really like before you go in. And mostly
Exactly.
companies,
Instead of just believing everything they say, and then you join the company,
exactly.
you bet the farm. You're like, okay, I'm going to move to wherever. I'm going to go work with this
Yeah.
company. Um,
So yeah, it gives you good insights into that, right? So for me, I remember the way I used to do my pricing. Again, I do a couple of different things. It's not just calling. I do like claim implementation, RevOps work,
yeah.
prospect training, etc. But like if we're talking strictly on the calling side, I remember for me doing it based on like pricing. That's something I always knew, like the completions model, right? I know you don't always have to do it that way. There's different ways you can package it up. That was probably for me the most beneficial thing.
Yeah.
That plus like
Really, it's about frame control, and it's about controllable outcomes, and it's about thinking through the outcomes.
exactly,
Right.
like that was
Even
the
like the
biggest
big
thing.
client that you closed on the per meeting deal, like, right. It's still,
It still comes down to it. And I
yeah.
get it. Like I think the other beauty of that is like even if you don't do conversations, just doing, hey, if we're gonna do per meetings, pay me up front. Like, like it's almost the same thing, right?
Mhm.
So getting, like pretty nice chunky 5-figure
Yeah.
upfront deals, it's always pretty nice.
I
So
just closed another one yesterday, posted it in the community.
you said
No, I
people?
did. Yeah, it came
You?
from
Okay,
it
nice.
was a referral too. I have not been like prospecting super hardcore for rep centric, but I've been getting a lot
Yeah.
of referrals for them, which is good.
Yeah.
Um,
No,
I'm
okay,
curious, like, so we, you talked a little bit about, and you posted in the community at one point, like I think you did like 90K over the course of 90 days, which is probably the time frame that you're thinking of with like what you earned as an SDR, which is amazing. I guess why did you choose, like you were already pretty smart, like you were not pretty smart, like you were very smart, you knew what you were doing, you had the skill set, you had been doing it. Why choose to work with someone to kind of help you go to the next level rather than
yeah.
just go out and do it yourself?
So one thing about me is like I'm like a course junkie. Like I can't even tell you the amount of courses I bought, programs, mentorships. I remember 2 weeks ago
We're
I met a
addicted, bro.
guy.
You and me both.
I'm just addicted. Like, I mean, for those watching, if you guys know who Jay Abraham is, I have his whole book collection somewhere in my basement.
I love it.
I know.
You're
I'm
the
sure
only other person I
I
know
know.
who's
I'm the
as
only
big of
other
a Jay
person.
fanboy as I was and
Man, I
am.
love that. Yeah, exactly. I still am. Like
Yeah.
the joint venture thing changed my
The
whole
creative
view on everything.
mindset, man. It's just like it's crazy.
It is. It's
For
like, I don't
anyone
know.
watching, go check out Jay Abraham.
Yeah.
Like he would change the way you look at business and just like marketing as a whole, and really like change, like kind of a change. I don't want to say change my approach to how I looked at life, but it changed my, like when I see businesses
I don't
now,
know.
like
For me, it did.
dude,
For me, it changed the way I look at
me
life.
too. When I see a business now, my mind goes in a million different directions about how to
Right.
grow them, how to help them, what they maybe aren't doing or what they could do,
Yeah.
right? And I
It's,
know it's done the same thing for you.
it's so crazy too, and not to go too much on a tangent. By the way, we might want to cut this part out. I don't know how
Yeah.
much time you need. I'm good until like I think up until an hour. I feel like
Yeah. No,
I'll probably
yeah,
cut
we
this
don't
off.
need that much time, but
Cool.
we'll just keep it going.
Yeah. But my thing was yeah, with Jay Abraham and all these people, I always just had, it sounds so cliche and just like corporate, you know what I mean? Obviously we're not W2 words anymore, but like having a growth mindset, I really understand that looking back now. Because when
Yeah.
I was an SDR, I mean, like obviously like our good friend, the one who I saw your recommendation from,
Yeah.
I invested in him, I invested in a bunch of other different guys.
Yeah.
Whether it was one-off sessions, a package, whatever, I was
Yeah.
always improving, right?
Yeah.
And I never understood how, because I came from internet marketing, right? The whole like high ticket closing, whatever world. And in that world, buying courses, investing in yourself was like, it was
The
the
norm.
norm. That
Yeah.
in corporate though, most people are just walking into sales, right? Like, oh, well, I want to study some BS degree, like I don't know, liberal arts or something. No
Yeah. And
offense
I want to get the
for
base
losers,
plus the
but
OTE, and they see it as a job.
exactly. They see it as a job. Whereas in high ticket and like this commission only world, like we willingly went into that world. You know what I mean? So we had to, so it was just a different mindset that we
Yeah.
had. And
It's
for me,
literally the
something like,
hunter versus the farmer mindset, right? It's like we came from a
yes,
place of like you only eat what you earn,
yeah,
right?
like
And so when you go from that world into like this kind of, for me it was like, dude, this is easy. Like I show
yeah.
up, get paid, like okay.
Yeah, it was that was the mentality I saw too. And one thing I will say for me personally, because I am like a super security driven person, when I before like I officially made the jump, I remember, man, I saved up probably I think like 2.5 years worth of expenses, and then like 9 months worth of like rainy day. I over index so hard,
Yeah.
right? Because
Do you recommend,
now,
what would you recommend for people in terms of like, because you, like you said, you really like made sure you had a good nut, which is amazing,
yeah,
takes that scarcity mindset away. But what would you
100%.
recommend a minimum for people?
Minimum. So keep in mind, for me, I'm fortunate. I'm still at home with the parents, and I'm not moving out until, at least I have like 1 million in the bank, right? Like, hopefully, right? Just keep costs down and stuff like that. But what I would recommend to most people, if you're, I don't know, let's say like a single person, you still have like bills and whatnot, at least 4 months minimum, and ideally you have a client or maybe a client or two on board, because that just kind of helps with cash flow.
Yeah.
But I think the most important thing, and I'll never forget this. I don't know if you remember this. There was one time, I think I was still in corporate. I messaged you. I was like, all right, man, F it. I'm gonna go hardcore prospecting this week. I'm gonna dedicate an hour. I'm gonna report to you every day. I remember within 3 days, I think I booked, no, within 4 days, I booked like 5 meetings. Right. So it's like when you really put yourself like your back against the wall, you can make,
Yeah.
imagine that's 1 week. What can I
Yeah.
do in 6 weeks, 7 weeks, right? Because typically it takes probably like, I don't know, month and a half, 2 months to like close your first deal.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. If,
But I
if you're
know,
if you're consistent and you're like, putting in the work, like you
yeah,
just have to have the conversations. I just tell people it's about like you
that's it.
compress that time frame to a week, you're gonna have 10 opportunities. If you take 2 months, you're gonna have 10 opportunities over 2 months.
Right.
That's just how it works. And like you took action that week and boom,
Yeah,
meetings on the board.
it's crazy because like I remember I spoke to a couple of people who were leaving corporate, and they didn't come from sales, more so like marketing or like rev ops or something, and they definitely don't have the sales arm, right? Even AEs I know who actually made the jump, they were like, "Oh, this thing's not working. I'm not getting prospects or clients." Excuse me. I'm like, "How many people do you talk to in the past week?" They're like, "Well, maybe like four." And I reached out to like a couple of them. The others were referrals. I was like, "Why are we talking right now? Like, go out there,
Mhm.
right?" So
Prospect.
basically, to kind of summarize that, right, is you ideally want to have at least like 4 months, maybe like worth of expenses,
Mhm.
or if you can try to condense your expenses because some of you live crazy for no reason, or or excuse me, you should have at least one or two clients either signed up or about to sign before you make
Yeah.
any jump. Of course, assess it at your own risk and everything like that, because everyone's a little different the way they operate. I don't expect people to do 2 years like me. Like I overdid it.
Yeah.
But keep in mind, I came into corporate 2 years ago knowing I wanted to eventually make the jump. I came
Yeah.
here wanting to learn the skill.
And what made you decide like finally decide like because you were secure before, right? So it's like what made you finally decide like, okay, dude, I'm done. Like I gotta pull the trigger.
Um, dude, when I had the first I don't like say the exact income, but when I think I made almost the same amount as like my. So there's a couple of directors I know. I made I think almost more than them, for way less work. And I was like,
Yeah.
whoa. I can if I just get a couple of these. I don't live a crazy lifestyle. Like I'm
Yeah.
pretty dirt cheap. You know what I mean? Like that's just how I am. My biggest expense is probably like my Clay account every month. Like that thing's expensive. You know, like
I love that, dude.
seriously.
Honestly, I spend more on software than pretty much anything else in my life.
Seriously, I still don't have a car. I mean, granted, I live in like Toronto, which is like a New
Yeah.
York, so you don't need a
City
car.
and
But yeah, exactly. But like even then, I'm still not getting a car. Like I'm a fight tooth and nail before I,
yeah.
put any capex out there. But
Unless we can write off the whole thing year one bonus
exactly,
depreciation.
exactly. That's what exactly.
No
That's
tax.
funny. Defer those taxes, but like, yeah, like for me, I think it was just see what was like possible. And again, it goes back to because I consulted a couple of people. I was like, I'm thinking of doing this thing, but like, what if it doesn't work out? What if whatever? I think my biggest fear was the illusion of fear in the sense of like, oh, I went out there and
Mhm.
I attempted it for a couple of months and then I have to go back to corporate. That was my biggest fear when I really like was internal and like honest with myself. It wasn't like, oh, I couldn't get a job. Like if I needed a job tomorrow, I'll go
Yeah.
get like an
It
80,
was like
90.
the shame of like you tried and
Yes,
didn't
change
get it.
yes, yeah, that's the perfect word to sum it up. I think it was just that. But the more I realize it, like month over month, I'm just like it's just growing exponentially, or it's just like maintaining it like where I needed to.
Yeah.
And like my margin is just it's crazy. So I'm like, doesn't make sense for me to
Doing the exact same thing.
exactly right. And I have so much more leverage, right? Because they listen to me. It's just crazy, man.
It's just a shift in the dynamic of the relationship,
Yeah,
right? You just go from being the employee
yeah,
to being the partner, right? You go from
yeah.
being the hired person, W-2, to being the expert, right? That they look to for advice and input, which was always the most frustrating thing to me about a W-2, especially when I had done the SDR thing for a little while. I
Mhm.
was like, you guys aren't listening to me right now. Like I've done this before. Like we need the mobile data. I don't know what to tell you. Like you have to pay for it. And and when they didn't pay for it, I would just pay for it myself. And
Right.
so finally it was just like, screw it, dude. I'm just gonna do this by myself.
The funny thing was, I was going to add one more thing to that is like about that dynamic. It does shift because I have an onsite coming up with somebody else, but I had an onsite maybe like a week or two ago with a client. And these guys are pretty big, and in terms of like their revenue, I'm not doing calling for them. It's more like consulting, helping them roll out their playbook, and they have a really really strong SDR team. But the thing is, they only have like two sources of data, and one of them is Zoom Info, and the other is like Seamless, which is garbage, right, for the most part, right? And I'm like, guys, you need at least a waterfall. And they listened to me. They saw the results. If I was an SDR or even a manager in-house, I got to go through procurement and budget and all this stuff. But because I had a direct relationship, right, with the head of sales, right, he really like listened. So
and he knows that you actually understand more about this stuff than he does. Guys, it's about becoming a professional. It's just about becoming a practitioner and an expert in your thing. Like, we just understand this one thing super well.
Perfect way to sum it up.
And you and I are both from the same like very scatterbrained mindset of like, hey, I could do this, 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 right? Yeah. And I think one of the things I heard a long time ago, and I'm sure this will resonate, not a long time ago, but fairly recent, and it was really impactful for me, was I heard someone say, you can do anything you want, but you can't do everything.
Yeah.
You can do anything you want. Like all these things that we wanted, you can do anything you want, but you can't do everything. You can start any business you want, but you can't start every business. You can be with any person you want, but you can't be with every person, right? You can have whatever car you want, but you can't have every car, right? So it's about choosing, and it's about focusing and picking a direction and just sticking to it, right?
I think that's one thing I really, when I see you, from my point of view, at least, I feel like you do that exceptionally well because, I know we always talk about like one of our things is like M&A, right? Let's go buy a business, right?
I have so many things to update you on that, but anyway.
I know, yeah, we got to catch up on that. But like, that's like one of the many things, and I know you still stay disciplined on like, just doing calling, because like doing calling, you can make 15, 20, 30, 40 a month, right? And like, that's, fortunately, like we're able to like to do that kind of stuff. Obviously not everyone can do that, right? But they're not putting the right inputs. They're trying to start a whole bunch of different things. So that's, I think that's like another thing too that I really liked, is that's why I keep coming to the community, because coming on the calls, like the call box that we do, or just chatting with people in there. Like I know Pat's like closing another like 5K upfront deal, and like
he just booked on his third conversation for his new client. He booked him a meeting.
Like I know I just keep like killing it. So it's like that's the other thing. Like focus is just man. That's a really good saying of like you can have all that. And the other thing too, by the way, I just want to say this other thing. Whenever I talk to like reps or other like managers just trying to ask for advice, because I'm very hip to like, and like I like to stay on top of like the whole AI stuff and still balancing out with the tactical foundational stuff. I don't do anything exceptionally crazy, right? Or excuse me, I'm not myself exceptional. I just do basic things. I time block to learn these things. I make sure I execute those things that I'm learning, right? So it's a repeatable feedback loop, right? Where it's not just learning all day, I'm implementing too. So I'm not doing anything out of the ordinary. Like there's nothing stopping you today from focusing for the next 60 minutes to get a new client, to deliver for that client, to learn it, whatever, right? So I think that's just like another thing. People look at you like, oh my, like how do you do this?
It's like, it's not crazy. It's actually all the things you would think to do. It's just I actually do them. It's all the things you would think to. You still there?
Yeah, sorry. Apollo, someone was calling back from Apollo. I thought you could.
No, you're good. I was just saying it's all the things you would think to do, but you actually do them.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
It's nothing. It's nothing mind breaking or earth shattering. And I appreciate you sharing kind of the places you've gotten value out of the community, because that was going to be one of my questions for you, is just like what areas you feel like you've got the most value from. And it sounds like it's just kind of been like that focused effort in a single direction.
Yeah.
Keeping you focused there.
That's all you pretty much need. Like I can't think of anything else that you can do, because it's actually funny. I'll just like say this other thing. By the way, I got like 6 more minutes, but I was just gonna say, I remember when I was watching I like watching Hormozy a lot. One of the things that he mentioned was unless you're trying to build the next Google or like TikTok or whatever, or Tesla, which most of us are not, you can just do a basic roofing business, can get to 100 million valuation. So before you try to do all these, like you have not squeezed out everything that you can do with this one thing.
Out of that, like this one skill set you have, can put $100,000 in your pocket. Like put your first 100K saved in your pocket. This one skill set of being able to cold call people, especially in the B2B space, like just that one thing, dude. You don't need to like get confused. Like just do the one.
You don't need to learn clay. Like that's one of the things I have.
So many people think they need to go down that path. Yeah.
Like you can literally, like from time to time too, I don't have the time. I'll go pay some, like one of my guys I know, just to build me a table if I don't have the time.
Or people that are willing to do clay than are willing to cold call. That's the problem, guys. Supply demand. There's a lower demand, or there's a higher demand and a lower supply of people who will actually go out and cold call and know how to do it and are motivated enough to do it themselves without having a manager on their back, like there's clay guys are popping up left and right because it's easier. You know, it's cool. Easier. I like it. It's cool, man. Great tool, right? But it's easier. Last couple questions for you. I know you got to hop. How likely would you be to recommend us, the community, me, as someone that can help SDRs or sales reps or AEs, you know, elevate to the next level and reposition their skills in the marketplace?
Yeah, highly recommend them, of course. Like I always have people reaching out to me. And I'm always like honest, right? Like I'm not gonna be the type of person who he's like, oh yeah, like just go sign up and then I get kicked back on the side, right? It's like, no, I mean we both know I won't say the individual's name who joined, didn't do the thing that he needed to do, right? So I always tell people like make sure you're in the right headspace. I know that's like one thing you talk about, right? Headspace, you gotta be in the right position. Financially, it's also important. But then eventually there comes a time where like you're never gonna be ready. You just gotta make the jump too. But I would always highly recommend it to people.
And you've been and obviously you have recommended a ton of people and talked to a ton of potential students and referred a ton of folks my way. So I totally appreciate that. Where do you think, and this is the last question, where do you think we could improve the community?
Off the top of my head, I probably would just go maybe more in because the most common question I still get from time to time from people would be like, okay, how do I sell like the conversation model or just like the per meeting model? That's probably the thing I would say. I understand it, but this is just from what I'm hearing anecdotally in the community, right? It would be like, okay, probably just doubling down on that. And I think adding other skill sets. I know we just talked about, you know, focus and whatnot, but like, you know, I remember that one gal, she probably wasn't the best at calling. She's more email focused, right? So I know you added the email component, which for me has been really good because I'm not an emailer. But maybe add like a clay arm, right? If someone wants to sometimes learn some of that.
It's good to know how to use those tools so you know what's possible, even if you're going to use someone else, because it might help you improve someone's campaign or improve a campaign you're working on.
Yeah, and you can also double check so you don't get like screwed or something like that, right? Like that's the other thing. You don't have to become a master. That's probably the only thing I can say off the top of my head. Yeah, it's probably like the only thing because everything that you need, it's a super simple business model, right? Like go build a list of companies that are either a lookalike of your current corporate client or whatever, or job, excuse me, or whoever, or wherever you have experience. Make that list, call that list for 2-3 weeks, say these words, and then eventually you're gonna like land something, right? So
the law of averages are in your favor at that point.
Exactly. Like, and one other thing I was just gonna say too, of like the skill set of just knowing how to pick up the phone, because nobody does. Like, I have so many clients who are like, "Oh, are you an email marketer? Is that what you're doing?" Or I was like, "No, I don't do email." They're like, "Great, I need someone to call and pick up the phone," especially these older boomer people. Like, I love working with them because they're all like, "Oh, you know, these kids, da da da." I'm like, I'm not that kid.
You're like, hand it to me, dude. I got it.
The funny thing, actually, I had one client tell me, he's like, you know why I did business with you? I saw in your email signature you put your phone number. Most people don't put that there. They don't talk on the phone because he literally just like rang me up. And
people
then
like that, man. They really do like to be able to talk to folks, like, and just call them up.
Yeah.
When we're talking about guys, we're talking about doing like $20,000-$30,000 deals, right? Like minimum. I mean,
literally,
you got to talk to people, right? You got to call them. You got to get out there. You got to do the job to get the job. But all right, great, man. I appreciate the time here. I'll let you go. I know you got to hop, but this was fantastic. I'll get this edited up and get it over to you before we, push it out. But I appreciate it so much, and keep seeing on the inside.
All right, man. Take care. Thanks for your time.
Let me kill the recording if I can figure out how.
It was cutting out.